Hey friends, how you doing today? My name's Charlie, in case you guys are new here. I'm a graphic designer. I specialize in merch design, and I just love making content and teaching others. So that's what this channel is all about. And yeah, if you're a graphic designer, welcome to the family. So today I am going to be turning popular household products into t-shirt designs using Photoshop. And this one's going to be experimental. I honestly don't know what I'm going to be doing yet, but I do have two brands that I'm going to be focusing on. Mr. Clean, yes, that's the one, and Dawn Soap, dish soap, in case you guys don't know. And again, I've never done this kind of, I've done videos similar to this, but this one's definitely far out. So anyway, if you guys are into that, then you definitely clicked on the right video and you're in for a treat, because I'm going to be sharing my methods for half toning and a bunch of other things as well. So you're going to learn something new and hopefully find it entertaining at the same time. All right, let's go ahead and get started because we have a lot to cover in this video. So I have this Mr. Clean logo, if you want to call it that. I'm trying to make these into like heavy metal t-shirts. So I have this idea of having Mr. Clean holding up like metal horns. It's going to be pretty weird, to be honest, but we're going to try it out. And then on the logo itself, I think I might bust out the iPad and make it look more death metal. So maybe we'll do some custom text on that one. I don't know yet. But the main thing is the subject. So let's cut this out, have that separated, and then we'll take Mr. Clean and cut the background out real quick. And maybe select subject will work. Let's try that out. Or you know what? I'll try this other method. I'll go ahead and add a threshold layer above this. And let's try this out. Maybe we can make him more of a silhouette, possibly. No, it's not really working too good. Let me try inverting this and maybe this will work. This actually might work. So you know what? I'm going to try this out because I'm not mad about that. So let's go ahead and delete that threshold layer. So basically that threshold layer allowed me to create this like silhouette. And I did invert the original logo just so I can basically bring out just the darks of the image. It's hard to explain, but that threshold layer was just to create a silhouette of the actual design. And I want to use this to my advantage. So what I'm going to do is probably take my brush tool and I just want, or actually better yet, I'm going to use my pencil tool because the edges are harder and they don't have any like opacity changes. And now I'm just going to lower the opacity of this threshold layer and start painting some of the black in where it needs to be, so we can finish the silhouette off, if you will. And that's gonna make more sense probably in a second, but this is going to allow me to get a really clean selection of Mr. Clean. If you're trying to make a complicated selection, this is just super good to do that. So anyway, I'll probably end up making a video about it in time, but for now, you guys are getting like a glimpse into it, if you will. Anyway, so now that I have that filled in, you can see that all the lines are like, I can make a selection with this now because the lines are completely finished. Now, if I were to try to make a selection before, there was gaps in between the white areas, and that's just not going to work. So we need to fill them in with black. And as you can see, we have that outline now to do that. So what I'm going to do now is take my magic wand and select just the outside and press Shift-Command-I to invert that selection. And if I cut it, you can see that we have just that silhouette selected. Now that we have that silhouette, we don't really need to do anything because it already is filled with color. So I'm just going to take the original logo and clip it to that threshold layer. And I'm just going to name this threshold so you guys see what I'm saying. So this is our threshold layer. Okay. And then this is our Mr. Clean logo. And it's basically being forced inside of that threshold layer, which is transparent. So it doesn't have any background. It's just basically a solid colors, right? We have white and black in there, but it's a solid color. There's no transparency on the inside. So when we clip the logo to it, it kind of just hides it inside of that. That's why clipping masks are so powerful. So now that we have that clipped, we can actually invert our background. So I'm just going to press Command-I because I want to work with a darker background. Now I'm going to start focusing on the hands of this dude right here. I just found this random image, by the way. I think I found it on Google or something, but we're just going to cut around the hands because I'm going to use both of them probably. My goal is to make this blend into Mr. Clean's hands to make it look real. So this is going to be really challenging, but I'm going to try that same threshold effect possibly. And it probably won't work as good as I think, but I'll try it anyway because why not? Actually, shit, that doesn't look terrible. You know what? I'm not mad about that. Let's press Shift-Command-E, and that's going to make a duplicate of that hand with the background. So it's basically taking the background image, the black background, and merging it with the photo and the threshold layer that we just added. So this is going to be our threshold. There we go. And then I'm just going to lower the opacity on this and then do the same exact thing before. I'm going to fill this with white this time. And all the areas you see that need to be filled in, you just fill them in. It's really that simple. There's nothing to it. And you don't have to do this for every single section, which is the beauty of this method. You could fill it all in if you feel like it, but I don't really need to. And this is awesome because it's going to make our life so much easier making these selections. And like, yeah, you can use like select subject, Adobe AI, but it doesn't always work good. So this ensures that everything's being selected, and it just saves you so much time. I'll probably make an Instagram short about this soon. If you guys want, follow me on Instagram because I'm going to make sure I go over this with you guys in detail. That's another thing is like, I feel like my Instagram's so undervalued with a lot of people because I make tutorials on there all the time that are super helpful, and they're in 60-second formats. So like you get all this knowledge within 60 seconds. So I definitely recommend you guys give me a follow. And you don't have to, of course. I guess it's a shameless plug, but I don't know. It makes me happy seeing you guys on there, honestly. Makes me feel like I'm doing something right in my life. I feel validated by views and likes. Oh man. And there you go. And with the eraser tool, we just get rid of anything that is like not needing to be there. So all these like white parts on the outside that aren't part of the hand, we could just erase them. So now let's go ahead and drag that layer. And this again is the hand threshold layer. Okay. And then we could just literally clip the hands to it. And look at that. We have a perfect selection. So what I'm going to do now is take my lasso tool and make a selection of each hand and basically separate them on their own layer so I can work with individual layers. Now I have that selection. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to press Command X, Shift Command V, and there you go. Now we have 2 hands. Awesome. And we can start compositing these hands now. So I have to actually figure out what hand goes where, but I'm thinking maybe, let me see. I have to look at them. Maybe that will work if I put this one on the right, possibly. Maybe. Yeah, let's try that. So this one could be on the right side, kind of like right here. You can kind of see where it would actually go. So I'm just kind of matching the angle up, sort of like that. And then this one can get resized. So I'm just pressing Command T to resize this. And this one can go over here, possibly. Crazy highlight though, because there is a major highlight and I don't think that will look good. So I might need to paint that back in, but it shouldn't be that hard because this is a character and there's not a lot of texture on them anyway. So, and we can always re-add texture later on. So I'm just going to make a rough selection of where I think this hand's going to finish off, sort of like right here. And we can even go a little further than that actually. Something like that. It's not perfect, obviously, but it's okay. There we go. Maybe even go a little further right here too. So with a soft round brush, I'm going to try to attempt to paint some of this color back in, the skin color, and attempts to fill this in. Kind of like that. I actually think I should do this on a separate layer just so if I mess up, I can always go back through. That's a little better. And again, my selection wasn't the best, so I need to go back through and paint that in. It's all right. And then we can add a layer mask and just like kind of mask out this back part. Kind of like that. That actually looks a lot better than I anticipated. Obviously the hand right here is going to pose a problem. Like if I turn this other hand back on, you can see where the problem's going to be, but let's first blend it and then kind of see from there what we need to keep and what we need to delete. So I'm just going to add a warp to this hand, kind of warp it in place, sort of like this. And I think I'm going to make this black and white anyway, so I don't really care if it has color right now. And then let's just use a soft round brush with a layer mask on that hand and start painting it in. There we go. And surprisingly, that actually looks pretty good. So this is the area that needs to be gone. So we need to figure that out. But I could probably like start painting this hand out manually. I think I might just finish the shirt off with white first. So figure out where this hand's going to be. This is going to be tough. I think what I'll do is I'll start off with a selection of where this hand's going to, or like I guess the arm's going to finish somewhere right here. So this is kind of where the shirt's going to be. So I can probably add a new layer and then this can be the shirt color and then just paint this in roughly, of course. And this needs to be below our hand. So that's kind of where the shirt's going to be. I'm going to make a selection of where I think the arm should be. So it's going to be about right here. And then we can make a new layer And this is going to be for our skin tone. So we need to use the color picker and just paint that in. This part needs to be masked. So we're just getting rid of the hand. That's really all we need to do. So just like by masking and adding color, we can do that. Big bicep, I'm assuming, because he works out maybe. But we can also start painting that in right there. And then again, it needs to be the same like shadow color. So we will need to replicate that. So I'm just color picking in the shadow area. The thing is, I am not the best artist when it comes to like painting and stuff. So this is difficult for me to do, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have. Let's make this a little darker now. And yeah, it's not looking good. Looks like shit. This is kind of the stuff you have to deal with though when you're like completely transposing other images that don't belong. Like it's just the way it is, you know? You have to deal with that. I made another layer just for the shadows, and I'm gonna start blending those in a little bit better. And this other hand will mask out where the other one is. So obviously this is gonna hide behind the other arm. So I'm just gonna start painting with the mask and kind of figuring out where this is going to be. So we can kind of go about right here. And the cool thing is we can kind of see where the other hand is sitting. So I can kind of warp this one into place, if you will. I clearly didn't think about how big of a project this is actually going to be. You know, it's hiding so much too. So I actually don't feel like I need to do a whole lot for this one. Let's make a new layer though. And then with that white, we can start painting that in, see, and hide a lot of that. And then we could do the same thing over here, maybe. Yeah, see, I don't know. I think it'll work. Because there is like a little bit of a shadow, right? Because his hand is going over. It should be like a shadow, you would think. Yeah, I think for the hands, I'm going to do some treatment for the hands. So I'm going to duplicate one of the hands and then add a, let's make it a smart object. I'm going to go up to filter, stylize, and oil paint. Let's make this look more like a painting, and we'll go Jurassic with this. So we can really, am I even selecting the hand? I am. Okay, cool. So filter, stylize, oil paint. Okay, preview wasn't checked. That's why. Makes sense. There we go. See, and like just really soften it up. We don't want any detail. Like honestly, we want as little detail as possible. And you know what? We can actually do this. I'm going to add a new folder, and this will be our color adjustments. And we'll make a new layer, 50% gray. Just put this on luminosity. And then I'll add a, what is it? A vibrance adjustment layer above it and bump everything up. And this way we can actually pay attention to like just the tones. And you can kind of see what I'm saying, right? Like I can see the colors and I can match them a little easier doing this. And if you guys are signed up to Merch Design Academy, I also will be going over this a little bit probably in that. So now let's hide the color adjustment, and you can see it kind of matches a little bit more. It's not perfect, but we can also just eye it too. That's another thing. You don't need that adjustment. It just kind of helps a little bit is all. I'm going to keep this hand, but I'm going to try one more thing too. I'm going to convert this one or duplicate this one and then convert it to a smart object. And I'm going to go up to filter, camera raw filter, and maybe we just try to take out some detail on the hand that's already there, really close to this hand so I can see it. And let's take these this texture and everything down to really smooth it out. And I might be able to take this color balance and clip it to just that layer. And you can see that it's kind of matching a little bit more, right? Like it's not bad. Yeah, I mean the hand, it's kind of iffy, guys, because like the thing is, the hand wouldn't be bending the way it is right now. So I do have an issue with it, but I don't know. It is what it is. I think that I'm just gonna paint some of these shadows out right here, so it's not so like, you know, obvious, and make it look a little better. See, that helps sell the effect a little bit more, but it's still not correct. You know, like there's obviously issues with this, but I mean, it is what it is. And I kind of like, by the way, showing you guys this process, like not editing everything out and showing you guys like, look, not everything's going to be perfect every single time, but it's okay. Yeah, see, that does not look bad at all. And we'll just do the same thing for the other hand now. And let's just grab a quick lens flare, something that looks similar to what we already have here. Actually, this one doesn't look terrible, but I like this one more. Let's copy that. And I know we're using Google Images, but you know, this is a more of an entertaining video. And obviously I hope you guys learned something from it, but you know what I mean. All right, so I'm just gonna bring this lens flare in. I changed the blend mode once again to screen. That way the black kind of blends, and that looks pretty good. And then from here, I'm just gonna mask out the parts that are kind of messed up on our original. With the eyes, I might make them just blacked out. I don't know yet though, or just all white. That's something that I have to kind of figure out for myself, but I think I might maybe just make them all black, because I feel like that would be pretty metal to do. I think I might have to see both eyes the same way before I can actually make a judgment. I'm going to clip another layer to this black eyes, and then this is going to be another layer clipped. And I think I might add a little bit lighter tones in there as well to just sell the effect that this guy, I don't know, there's depth. What do we do with the grin though? He's grinning and I don't like that. Let's go liquefy and see if we can make him maybe not grin so much. Mouth, let's go smile. Oh, we can make him smile more. We can tilt the eyes. Interesting. I'm going to stop here for now and I'm going to go on my iPad and make a logo. So I'll show you guys a time lapse real quick of what I come up with. If I come up with anything, I don't even know what I'm doing with the logo yet. And then we'll slap that on the composition and just see where it's at. And I'll figure out what I need to do next. Because right now I'm not too sure, I'll be honest, but we'll go there, do that, and then see what we come up with. Before I import the logo from my iPad, I'm just going to group everything together and name this design, or actually Mr. Clean. And this, you don't obviously have to do this, but I just want to do it because that's how I am. And then I'm just going to drag this logo from my iPad to my document here. So what I did is I just shared the file from my iPad to my Mac, and then I dragged it from the downloads folder to my Photoshop document here. So that's pretty much the way I work. And let's hide that other group and let's just add a threshold layer above, and that's going to sharpen the lines. And if I do it before and after, you can kind of see what it does there. And then if we wanted to, we can always add a Gaussian blur to smooth out the lines even further, but doesn't really need it. Maybe I'll do like a 1 pixel Gaussian. There you go. And then from here, I can honestly just merge the layers and delete the background. So I want to make sure contiguous is unchecked. Select the black and delete. And there you go. We have Mr. Clean Death Metal logo. Bam. I said heavy metal, but honestly, this is turning into more of a death metal design. I'm okay with it though. Cool. And I do want this to be above everything because that's how the original logo is. So I'm just going to drag it about right here. Oh, you know what? I forgot to delete a part of the left side, as you can see. So I'm just going to take my lasso tool and cut that out, repaste it, then center it, Command A to select the entire artboard, and that will do the trick. And there you go. And it actually is a good opportunity to fix this damn lens flare too, because you can see that it has a black background. So I'm just going to label this lens flare so I know where it is. And then we're going to go into the blending options and check this out. I can literally just split this arrow holding in, on my keyboard, it's Option, but for you guys on PC, it's going to be Alt. And you can split the arrow and change the blend if on the current layer, and that will get rid of the black background pretty much. So there you go. Much cleaner looking. Looking pretty good. Now I could go like full chrome on this text, but I don't know if I want to. I might just do some like grungy work. I'm skipping over this part really fast because I end up customizing the type later on and changing it completely. So this part, you know, I didn't want to bore you guys and show you something that's going to be changed anyway. But anyway, let's go to the next section. We're going to make Mr. Clean look even more brutal. So on Envato Elements, I'm just going to go to the 3D section and type in armor and see what happens. Like, I just want some shoulder pads, but they have to be badass shoulder pads, like with spikes on it. Ooh, maybe, you know what? This might actually look cool. I'm getting excited right now. Yes, that I found my armor. Like, we're adding this shit to Mr. Clean right now. This is perfect. Maybe put some battle axes behind him. Oh man, we're going crazy now. Yes. I'm so excited about this. This one's kind of cool because it's like plain. It doesn't have too much going on. It's got a little rust on it. You know what? I like this one a lot more, so we're going to go with it. Do I want it angled? No, we'll just do flat. All right, cool. I'm going to download this version, and I'm just going to resize it so it matches the shape of him, if you will. I don't know if that makes sense, but you guys probably get what I'm saying. But I do need to do a lot of clever masking, unfortunately, because it needs to look like it's sitting behind. So I will have to like meticulously go through here, but it shouldn't take very long at all. And we will put this in the group and put that below. There we go. So this is going to be the chest armor. And it's cool because it has the shoulder pads too, which is like a double win, you know? But add a layer mask, which I already have. And then I think I'm going to use the pencil tool to mask this out. And I am going to fast forward this part so you guys don't have to sit through it because it's really boring. So what I need to do now is actually add some shading to this. So I'm gonna make a new layer above the armor and clip it, and we'll name this armor shadows. And then we could just start painting some shadows in to certain areas that need it. And that will sell the effect that it's actually behind the arms. That's good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and lower the opacity just a little bit to make it a little more subtle. And I think there should also be some shadows under the armor because I imagine since it's on top of his shirt, there's gonna be some shading, right? So we could probably add that as well. So I'm just going to paint that in, and then we can always mask out certain parts that need it. So I'm just gonna bring that in. Again, I'm just using a soft round brush for this. There we go, this is much better. And then I could just sort of mask out the parts that I want to dial back. And then we're going to paint a slight shadow under as well, so he kind of fades into the background. And then I have that axe that I just imported, so let's make it bigger, and we can bring that and just kind of put it in the back, sort of like this. And I might have two axes. So what we can do is probably just bring that all the way behind everything. We do have an issue because we added that fade in the bottom. So we will have to mask that part out, but that's totally fine. It shouldn't be a problem. And I'm going to add a camera raw filter to it to basically bring out some of the details and make it look just that much better. You know, add some texture, some grittiness. I'm gonna press OK now on that. So there you go. Now the axe looks a little better. And we can also duplicate it now and flip it. So we'll do this, flip horizontally and add this one to the other side. And then we can add a layer mask on this group, and check this out. We can paint out this part. So it's going behind everything, right? At this point, I can honestly add another layer and then name this Axe Shadows, and then use this for shading as well. And we honestly could have just done that with the bottom too, just add those shadows in, but you know, it's okay. Add it to this part. Pretty much anything that's behind needs to have a shadow. I'm gonna add a layer below everything and just paint with a soft round brush red to add a little bit of pop of light in the back. Just a little bit, nothing crazy. And to me, that looks good already. So I'm gonna stick with that. Do I want a helmet on him? Maybe, but I don't know. The bald head is kind of like the trademark of him, you know? I think I might wanna add some blood dripping off the axes, which sounds crazy, I know, but I think it would look cool. So let's try to do that real quick and see if that looks good. For the blood dripping off the axe, I'm just going to try to do it with my lasso tool, which is kind of crazy, honestly, but I'm just gonna see if we can make it look decent, which probably won't, but we'll see. All right, cool. I'm gonna fill this with that same reddish color, and honestly, we could just warp it in place, like make it look like it's part of the axe. There we go. I don't know, I might just go get blood somewhere at the blood bank. Just kidding. That was stupid. I'm gonna try to blend it in maybe. I don't know. It looked fake to me, so I don't know. It doesn't look terrible, so I'll probably keep it for now. It's definitely not like perfect, but you know, it's okay. What could actually help sell this effect a little bit more is by adding a hue and saturation layer, colorizing it, making it red, forcing it within the axe layer, and also the blood can go above the axe too. So we'll drag that above the axe layer. And then with this hue and saturation layer, I can add a mask, or invert the mask, I should say, and then we could just paint back in those areas that need to be more red. See? To me, that sells the effect a little better too. That looks so much cooler. All right, now let's do some crazy color grading. So I'm gonna go ahead and press Shift Command Option E to put this on its own layer. And now we can basically hide our design. So we can group everything else, name it design, and that pretty much hides it on its own layer. And then with this layer, I'm going to do my color grading. So this will be layer number 1, and I'm gonna go up to filter, camera raw, and before I even add anything, I'm going to soften it up a little bit and then raise the shadows up to bring out some detail. Press OK. The highlights are a little intense, so I'm gonna go back to camera raw filter actually and lower those highlights a little bit. We're gonna duplicate this like 5 times or 4 times. 2, 3, 4. Cool. So this first layer, before I even go into my filter gallery, I'm gonna press D on my keyboard, and that's going to put my foreground and background to white and black. So my foreground is black now and my background is white, which is what I want. And now I can go up to filter gallery, and I'm gonna do my classic stamp effect. And this time I'm gonna use a grain layer, sort of like that. And as you can see, it's already kind of coming together, which is exactly what we need. And then the stamp, we're gonna bring it down quite a bit. So we're gonna ease our way into this effect, right? Add a little bit more. So that's gonna be like the first layer right here. So press OK. And there you go, we have layer number 1. Let's go back into the stamp now, and we're gonna go a little bit further with the stamp this time to create more of those mid-tone layers. There you go. So that's more of the mid-tone now. We're gonna go again, filter gallery. And this one, we're gonna go a little bit more intense. See the pattern here? And then this one's gonna be really intense. And this is gonna be more like a highlight layer. Yes. There we go. You gotta make sure there's a big enough difference though between them, or else it's not gonna do anything for you, if that makes sense. So now I do have a lot of white specks everywhere. Honestly, I'm just gonna go around with my lasso tool and cut this out, and then I'll delete all the black out. And you'll see why, because I don't want those specks ruining my art. So I'm just gonna get rid of them. You can also just paint them with black and then cut the background out if you wanted to. It's really up to you. I just don't want them there because again, I don't want them being on my final design. There you go. So cut that, paste it, and then you just want to select all the black and delete it. So make sure contiguous is unchecked for this, and there you go. And we're gonna do this for every single layer. So there we go, we have our first color, second color, third color, fourth color. Now let's figure out a color palette. So I wanna stick with reds primarily. So for the base, I'll probably go for like a darker red. And then for the highlights, I'll go for more of a blue tone possibly. Maybe like a teal, seafoam green, maybe. And then add those highlights. Mr. Clean. We might even not even need all these colors, to be honest, but we'll see. Yes, or yeah, see that tan color looks sick. And then this will be more of like the lighter tan color. I'm vibing with it. I'm vibing with it. And then we have the highlights, of course. And then the logo will be on top of that, of course. Come drag it up a little bit more. Don't be scared, right? All right, I'm gonna try adding a little bit of red on top and see if that kind of fixes my issues that are going on here, because I really don't know what to do. But I kind of think this tan color is working for me a little bit. Might do something like this. That actually looks clean. I like this. I might stick with this. All right, I'm gonna grab some textures from Texture Labs. You guys already know I just love using Texture Labs. They're amazing. And I think it's some of the best textures on the internet for free. So I always like to promote it because I think that Brady is an awesome designer and he deserves it. So anyway, I'm gonna take this texture. It's one of my favorite to use, rasterize it, or it's already rasterized, I'm dumb. And I'm gonna desaturate it, just like so. And honestly, we can just clip it to the layers, but I'm gonna go ahead and multiply it first, or maybe screen it. I don't know yet. I'll probably add a screen overlay, yeah. And let's put that on the seps first. We'll probably do 2 different textures, and then I'll add a levels adjustment to kind of offset that. Gives it a whole different vibe. This is before, this is after, and then we can just duplicate this now and do the same thing with the text. And as you can see, it adds a little something something to it. All right, so I'm gonna press Command A, Shift Command C, and then Shift Command V to paste that in place. And let's resize it and just see what it looks like. got a heavy metal Mr. Clean. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. This took a lot longer than I thought. I was gonna do 2 different designs in this one video, but I think we're going to focus on maybe 1 design per video. That way I can go more in depth with it. So let me know what you guys want to see for the next video and we might make it. And I also still have to do logo redesigns. I haven't forgot about that. But they don't do very good on this channel, unfortunately. So I'm still debating. And don't forget to turn on notifications, guys, because you don't want to miss another video because these are getting crazy. But my name is Charlie Pangus. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.